My own name is Brendan Long, and I'm joined by my colleague here, Nicola Fitzpatrick, and we'll be hosting some community action, climate resilience, and the role that local initiatives play in shaping a more sustainable and inclusive future for us all. Just to note before we begin, this session is being recorded, and the recording also just has started. You might have heard it there. So if you do have any concerns, you can feel free to turn off your camera. So tonight we're very lucky to be joined by two fantastic speakers, each bringing a unique perspective from community advocacy and local government. So firstly, we have Arthur Needham, who's a community warden with Cork City Council, and as well we have Maebh O'Callaghan, who's an inclusion officer with Cork City Partnership. Thanks very much for joining us, lads.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
No problem at all. So I suppose just to give a bit of context about the lads before we let them speak, we just have a bit of information about you. So Arthur is a dedicated community leader and community warden with Cork City Council, where he works directly with local residents to enhance community environments and support community-led initiatives. In this role, he engages with groups on environmental improvement projects, litter prevention, local and collaborative efforts to make public spaces more welcoming and sustainable. And then Maebh. So Maebh's an inclusion officer with Cork City Partnership. Here she works to promote equitable access, participation and representation across community development and social inclusion programs. In her role, Maebh collaborates closely with individuals, community groups and partner organisations to identify and address barriers faced by marginalised and underrepresented communities, ensuring that initiatives are inclusive, accessible and responsive to local needs. So just following on from that then, we have a bit of an open question to the floor for you, so lads. So I suppose to begin then, could you each briefly describe your current role and what a typical week looks like for you in work?
Yeah, I'm happy to start on that anyways. So yeah, just once again, thanks a million for inviting us to speak. This is hopefully going to turn out to be interesting and insightful. So yeah, I work for Cork City Partnership, and I suppose a lot of my role is helping Irish communities to understand the experiences of marginalised communities, to help them understand the reality of immigration, and to understand the way that the far right weaponizes people's very real frustrations and fears to divide communities. And then I also work with mis and disinformation. And this is all for building capacity for healthy and sustainable integration. So yeah, it's really about listening to what people need, what people are saying, really trying to hear that, and then develop projects that help people to be involved in their communities. So my role is a pilot scheme. It's funded by the government, and I think it's really great that the government recognises that community development is so key for tackling really big issues. At the same time, I suppose a lot of the issues that people are frustrated by are also created by government. So this can be really frustrating and complicated, but I suppose it's really great that there's so many people taking good action, and I would say funding good programs. So the great thing about my role, I suppose, is that it's new. So there's huge scope to carve out creativity in a way that really feels like it belongs to me. I'm pretty new to community development. Obviously, what SERVE does is community development overseas. But this again is different and similar in so many ways. So I'm really grateful for all of the experiences and how I've been able to kind of build into this role aspects of GCE and things that I learned with SERVE. So yeah, in terms of what my week looks like, it's about 700 cups of tea and about 500 chocolate biscuits. Community development is really about listening and connecting. And a lot of it can feel like slow or invisible work. A lot of the work that you do on the day-to-day doesn't increase any word count on your laptop screen, or it doesn't fit into an Excel spreadsheet nice and neatly. And so I think you have to kind of really do some work on your idea of what change is and how you measure it, which is challenging, but really, really fun and rewarding. But yeah, there's huge power in cups of tea, and I really stand by that. So yeah. Arthur?
Very interesting, Maebh, very interesting.
Mhm.
So, look, my role with Cork City Council is a community warden. I suppose there is 4 community wardens within Cork City Council, only one in the south side. This was myself. We have 3 colleagues staying in the north side of the city. I suppose, look, I don't know, like a lot of people don't like the word warrant, but I suppose, look, of old, it was someone that a minder and a protector of your community, basically. Like my role, well, I'm seen as my role in the Cork City Council is that I be the eyes and the ears and the voice for Cork City Council on the community. So look, I'm visible. I work on the community, so I'm not based in City Hall. I'm based in Ballyfian Community Centre. Like, so they were where they want us in the community where people can approach us and be approached and to address ongoing issues within the community. That's the first and foremost. I suppose my main role then is working with the community, and that means every community group. That's with schools, the guards, businesses. You have no idea. You're dealing with graveyards. You're dealing with social housing issues. We'll deal with everything. I suppose another part of our role is setting up groups. So within the south side of the city, like I cover most south side, like so, like every community has different needs, and a lot of it's down to its demographics. So, like Mahon, which is one of the newest communities, I would say, in Cork, like they have a lot of, challenges at the moment, and there's younger challenges where Ballyfihan is another area called Ballyfihan is one of the oldest communities within Ireland and the oldest population within Ireland. So we have a lot of kind of what you would say older groups there. Like, so we have a lot of issues there around daycare, housing adaptations. Now, I would be asked to help and facilitate this. That kind of needs setting up groups like in Ballyfian, we set up a Better Together group where people can come in and sit down and just support one another, have a chat. Like, we started up a men's group now in Ballyfihan. There's Maebh's colleagues there now are setting up women's groups in Toker and in Mahon. Like, so, so every community has different needs, and basically you need to be within the needs. Like I suppose Mahon, like we do a lot of work in Mahon. Cork City Council put actually a whole street renewal scheme in Mahon. But prior to that scheme, I would say Mahon was a very challenging and difficult place to get the buy-in from the locals. They were very, very difficult. They kind of very standoff and kind of really didn't engage in what was happening. They felt that they were left behind and no one supported them. But like I felt anyway, when the street renewal scheme went in, and now there's a bus connect scheme happening at the moment in there, like, I just think it opened up Mahon. People didn't realise, like, the council, there is a lot of work, there's a lot of service out there, and I think they just started to engage a lot more, to start to open up. So for community work, it's a lot of what Maebh was saying, like, but you need to get the buy-in from the community. I love when people come to me wanting to set up groups or with issues that within the community that needs resolved. Like, it's very difficult if you come with groups ideas and different ideas and trying to get them up and running, you meet a lot of resistance. But I just feel if the community come to you with issues or with you what they were looking for, it's just a lot easier. Like, and like in community is all about engagement, listening, talking, teasing out. But the other thing is you're looking for them to kind of take the first action of inquiring or looking for whatever, if it's a group or it's an issue within the community, for that to happen. Like, so look, community engagement I just think is huge, and community buy-in. Like, so if you're ever doing anything, you just need the people to buy into what you're doing. It just makes things easier. Like, and you need good community activists as well. Like, you need good people, good leadership in it. And I kind of noticed that a lot in the community as well. it's very hard to get people now to organise, run groups, take that responsibility on. Years ago, I suppose a lot of older people years ago would have that skill set, but I just think with change of working environments and everything like that, people lack that skill now to, take on groups, take the responsibility of running groups, organisation. Some people would consider them basic skills, but when you get into groups there and you see people that just feel they're not able to do that or not able to do that skill set. So that's one thing now in City Hall we're trying to address is how can we upskill people to take on this, and people think it's I suppose people don't have a skill set like that. They fear it, and when you fear that, then there's a blockage and there's a restriction then, and people mightn't be open to learning that. So that's a barrier that I suppose that needs to be kind of addressed as well, is that kind of skill set of running an organisation. And the other thing as well, everything now has gone online, and we find a lot of groups now, which Cork City Council now, we're starting to issue our 2026 grants, but a lot of community groups then that need that, but they won't have the basic computer skills to actually go online and to fill out these applications, and that becomes a major stumbling block. So these are the small things in communities, and no group can run without funding and that kind of support. At the moment, this week now that we're launching our community kind of LCT grants and community grants, and look, I will be going to all my groups now, and I'll be hoping now to get them all signed up and get the application forms in. So look, all I can say about community work, every community is different, every needs are different, and a lot of it comes down to the demographics of the area that area that you are working in. So, has anyone any questions for me or anything?
Thank you guys so much. In fairness, the two of you talking there, I've had a million questions, and I'm in my head, I'm going to stay on topic, just stay on topic. But there's actually one thing that strikes me though, is there's a commonality with your work in that it's that issue of community. When you speak of Mahon, Arthur, that's a common thing to a lot of areas around Ireland, actually, where they're slower to buy in because they felt left behind. And when you use those words, that is what's happening to a lot of Maebh's groups as well that she's dealing with. Even though they're from different countries, and people, there's that sentiment of people are feeling left behind, or lost or not included in their own community. So it's really interesting, the dynamics that is changing in Ireland as well, and across the world. But that's actually a common thread for you, and possibly in your space as well, Arthur. You are probably having lots of cups of tea as well to break down barriers, because it really is a way to meet people, isn't it? It is, people just start to talk over something as simple as a cup of tea. Or when we talk about, I know our commonality is in the community garden, that people love something that they can meet you with, where they can just talk freely, in an environment that's really, really nice and easy. Now, just before we go on, now, Brendan, I'm probably cutting over you, but I just want to welcome Milimo. And I don't know, Milimo, can you chat? Can you hear us? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
We can hear you perfect. So I just want to introduce you to Arthur,
yes.
And Maebh already, but Arthur,
yes.
you've heard all about him. But Arthur, Milimo is one of our partners in Zambia, and would you like to say a few things about some of the projects that you're working on at the moment?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So my name is Milimo Muchanga. I work in Zambia. I'm a partner liaison with SERVE. I work with Flamboyant Special School, Liobolola Primary School, and St. Patrick's Secondary School. We are doing a lot of projects, starting with funding the schools with the school needs, which are school learning and teaching material aids, which helps the schools to run properly and to produce good results with the students. And at the moment, our three partner schools are regarded as the best schools in Mazabuka, because we have tried to fund them with the requirements that needs for students to have in schools. So as I'm speaking now, the three schools I'll give an example for Liobolola. They've recorded about 98% of grade 7 and grade 9 passing rate going to Form 1 and grade 10, which are the grade 9s. So, which means that this year, the schools will have massive enrollment because they know that the schools have got almost everything that they need for the school to run and for the pupils to learn. They've got now, as I'm talking now, last year we were funding Liobolola Primary School with teaching and learning aids, which means each pupil now have an access to a teaching and learning aid material, which means if it's an English reading book, each pupil in class will have his own or her own book that they'll be able to read on, understand, and the teacher makes work easy for the teachers. And for Flamboyant, we funded them with a lot of things, also teaching and learning material aids. Flamboyant is a school where most of the people who are living with disabilities are learning from. So they have everything that they need. They've got the computers, they've got the I would say projectors, so they are able to see and understand what they are doing physically. Unlike where you're just talking about something that is not there, but now they're able to see, operate them, and use them. Same applies to St. Patrick's Secondary School. So my role as a person from SERVE is to communicate between SERVE and the schools and help them come up with the funding application forms, assess them, and then send to SERVE, and then SERVE funds them. And then we get all the needs that they need for the school to ensure that the students are getting the best education that they need. I also organize trainings for teachers, students, and pupils. So like last year, we had a training, which is a very important training that helped the school to prepare the teachers for the term, which is beginning next week on Tuesday, which is a child protection and safeguarding, where we need to ensure that students, most of the time they spend their time in school, and we need them to be safe and feel the importance of education, because only when a child is safe and can enjoy the learning environment, they can be the best people in the community. So we did that training, which was funded by SERVE. I facilitated as always I'm supposed to do, and now we are assured of the students to say they will be in a safe place, they will learn in a very enjoyable environment, they will be best students, and they will produce good results. Because mostly of the students, I would know it from where I come from. Probably at home they are humiliated, they are not well treated, but when they go to school, if they find a very good and suitable environment, they'll concentrate and get the best results that they need. So I had all those trainings. We had a schools like Liobolola, they never had the school desks, or we call them the school chairs and the like, but with SERVE, with my work and SERVE's work in the community, we were able to buy them everything, and now the school is in a good state, happy, and students are always there. The school is fully packed all the time, good results, everything good on. So we are almost doing almost everything. We are almost there, and we are happy. We've funded them with a lot of things. And my role, as I said, is just to facilitate between SERVE and the schools and to ensure that the right thing is being done. And I'm happy about it. I've learned a lot from SERVE. I've worked with Maebh. I've worked with Nicola. I've worked with Nolek. And I'm still working with the whole team of SERVE. Brendan, Jack. So all those.
They're new
I'm
friends.
happy about it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're a star. Brendan, do you want to go?
No, brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Milimo. I know maybe some of us that have been around the office or that kind of know the brilliant work that goes on over there with yourself and some of the other partners. But so it's great to give you the chance to maybe let other people know. But no, thanks very much for that, Milimo. And looking forward to seeing you in June.
Yeah.
I suppose moving on then, Nicola, I think you were going to take this one.
Yeah, do you want me to? So I'm just going to ask you, Maeve, and because Arthur, you spoke a little bit about this, about the challenges that you face, when you're engaging a community and when you're trying to get people involved. So probably to Maeve and Milimo then, like, what barriers do you feel that communities often face when trying to engage environmental or in community-led initiatives? Well, that's Maeve.
Yeah, so there's a lot there. So I suppose to start off, and something that we've kind of mentioned a couple of times, and even Milimo speaking about his role as a translator, really, I think, is that a lot of the reason that people don't engage with, social action, be it attending a protest for Palestine or environmental efforts or whatever it may be, is because that they don't understand how it affects them, or they think it doesn't involve them. And I suppose this is where GCE is really brilliant, because it highlights how absolutely everything is interconnected, and even the sustainable development goals do as well. But I think a real big issue with the sustainable development goals, and generally around a lot of these conversations, is that the jargon isn't accessible. So theoretically, the language might be up to date. And I know that we've had conversations about this, Nicola, before, about when we talk about the sustainable development goals, we talk about neocolonization, or we talk about the global south, or 1 degree temperature change, or biodiversity loss. You actually leave a lot of people behind. So people mean well, and the language that we use is constantly is shifting, to make sure that it's as inclusive and as responsible as possible. But with that, the language moves too quickly for some people, and like Arthur mentioned, with technology changing, and people do get left behind, and often the people that are left behind are the people who the conversation is about. And language is everything, and that's why we are so careful with it as well, right? And that's why we talk about the global south rather than a third world, and it's all about framing things as though it wasn't a race, and there's not these power imbalances in the words that we use. But I think we sometimes have to ask ourselves the question of, do we need to meet people where they're at and bring them along in a way that they understand, or does it feel more important to use the most up-to-date terminology? And unfortunately, that's not always the same thing at all. So it really takes a lot of kind of reframing and kind of understanding what feels the most important to you. And obviously, I think most people here are thinking a lot about Trump at the moment and what he's doing. But I think that so much of what he did well in the beginning, what he continues to do well, is the simple language that he uses, that people understand. So there's not a sense of him kind of talking down to anybody. And I think that's maybe a reason why people feel excluded from these conversations and then from action. So like Arthur said, it's really about the engagement, it's about buy-in, it's about understanding, it's about participation. But if people can't participate, if people can't sit around the table and talk about it with you and with the decision makers, then they can't really be included in the action either. So I suppose that's kind of one thing. And when I was thinking about today, I was thinking a bit about SERVE's slogan, I suppose, being solidarity in action, which is actually kind of words that I've kept with me throughout some of my projects. So one of them in this project, one of them in this role has been starting a community garden. And I suppose it's really around actually partially removing that language, so people can act in solidarity and they share the action of the gardening or the breaking of branches or the packing of the earth or whatever it is. But also that people that maybe don't have as much English can easily participate. We had a man attend, and I think it was 2 hours before anyone realized that he had about 3 words of English. And that's really nice, because It just means that you're breaking down the barriers. How do you make it as easy for people to engage with community initiatives as possible? So that's one. And just, I suppose the other thing is really that even though it doesn't feel like it, worrying about the climate crisis can be a privilege. Because although it's happening immediately, I suppose a lot of the real changes are things that we're thinking about in the future. And that sentence feels really uncomfortable to say, I suppose, to say that it's a privilege. But the truth is that if you can't feed your children, or if you are a victim of domestic violence, or if you're fleeing war, there's very little space for you to exist outside of that exact moment. Um, and I suppose the same goes for community-led initiatives, not being able to see beyond that moment and beyond survival. So I suppose it's trying to create space in people that there's a little bit of room in them that they can engage with these things. Um, but yeah, that being said, I suppose just before, I suppose the community-led initiatives and the community action, I think anybody who's ever gone away with SERVE does really remark at the sense of community that people feel when we're going to these communities who maybe have, materially less than our lives and what we know, but are so struck by the huge sense of community. So yeah, I think there's kind of lots of interesting dynamics at play there with community engagement and environmental and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Maeve. Milimo, do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I think, like Maeve said, community engagement is key. Like for me, where I work from, you see, there's a different understanding of when you are working with the organization, you are in it, and you are out of the organization, and how you look at things, it's quite different. So you find that these communities that we work with, if we are trying to engage them on how things are supposed to be done, and you find that their understanding is different. But for one to achieve their goal is you always have to bring them close to you, make them understand what you're doing and how it's supposed to be done. And only then they will understand. But this African community, I would say, I'll put it African community, a Zambian community where I am here, is when they see a person working with an organization that try to support the community and try to bring them together and they think that everything is just coming down like someone is pouring water and then they are receiving rains and the like. But as Maeve said, you always have to engage the community, ask them what they want, how it's supposed to be done and how things are supposed to be done. Only then you can build a better community with the people around you. So that's the only thing, like what I'm doing with these schools is to bring them close, make them understand, and make them realize the importance of whatever is being done at that point. Like the word self solidarity in action, it's a word that I carry every day when I'm moving, even when I'm going to the schools, talk to the schools. I always emphasize on that. We are solidarity in action. We have to do it, but provided you are putting an effort towards it. Because eventually our goal is to ensure that we are providing the right thing at the right time and helping the community to develop better and be sustainable, not just to help you always. No, we want you to be sustainable. So like she said, it's about community engagement. Make them understand, reason with them, and then move with them, and then eventually we're gonna reach the goal. Thanks.
Yeah,
Could I say one thing? One thing there, Nicola? I just think there's another issue here. It's called social security.
Yes.
And I do think people do need that. Like I've seen that a lot, that, like community gardens, I mentioned there, like if people, they feel safe and secure and they won't be judged in that environment. And like it's what Maeve said, names or in plain English is very important. Like in Balfiano, the Better Together group, like there's open to male and female. And people do feel better by going to groups like that. Or we have a kind of a main better group together as well. Like, and you know, people actually, the name can really kind of have an effect on people's mood and behaviour and that. Like, so I obviously it's very, very important when naming groups or anything like that. It's quite an upbeat, inviting group. Like, and you know, like community gardens, a lot of people do find them a very safe, secure, friendly environment. Like, and that's quite, you know, that's quite attractive then to people to come, and when they do feel that, like, even from whatever background you have or whatever's going on in your life, that you can go to these places, even a woman's group or anything. Like, it's a group of women, but you know, you're not being judged. Everyone has, you know, issues or whatever not. Like, but it's a big thing, and you see a lot of it, and people do look and are looking now for social security. I think anyway, that would be my experience. What all you're talking about at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. I would agree, and I think with you, what the three of you are saying as well, like, is, you know, if we're talking about social security, like inclusion, isn't that what that means? Connection, isn't that what that means? Language, us being able to communicate with each other freely is what it means. Like, and really, is the, like, the epitome. That's the action behind solidarity in action, where we're holding hands together, where we work together, you know. And I think that goes across every community in every country across the world. That's ultimately what people want and what we are at, like. But I think what's interesting that you're saying as well, and Milimo, you like this question as well. But I'm going to get Arthur to speak on it first. But if you know, this concept of the land, and Maeve touched on it there, where people, through those community gardens, people are really connecting with the land. So the land is acting as a conduit, really, for people to be able to work. And the land is so important because of that, the access to food, growing your own food, the connections that it makes, and all of that. So, like, from your experience, like, and this is true work and personally for all of you, like, how do you feel that green spaces and community gardens really contribute to both climate action and social well-being then of people?
So, from my experience, is when people come together, we come up with for example, a community garden. Everyone participates in that community garden. Everyone gets a touch of it, help to gain experience first with how to grow crops, how to manage crops, and then eventually how to make money in business and be sustainable out of it. But you find that you offer such a training to people, they get all these benefits, but at the end of the day, they want to get only a benefit of an individual saying, this is my personal thing, which shouldn't be the case. But from my experiences, when you have such a personal community garden, it helps people come together, reason together, move together, develop together, and become one in a society where there's peace, there's love, and there's kindness. And then from there, you move forward. And that's what we stand for. And that's what solidarity means. And then we move together. From my experience, and from the experience I've done, community gardens, I've brought people together. They have learned, they have moved, they have developed, and now they are independent and they are able to do it. I'll give an example of now our partner school, St. Patrick's. I was telling them, we will not continue supporting you. At one point or another, we need to support another group. So going forward, can we come up with a project that is going to help us? A project that is going to help the school to be sustainable itself. Secondly, the pupils or the students in the school, they will learn, develop, have love of it, have a skill, and then move forward, because you would have done that. And we have done it. We have done a banana plantation. Students are able to water, they know how to plant, they know how to do everything about it. From the school, they will be able to say, okay, now I've got my personal land. Instead of me growing this, what I don't know, I'll grow this. So the community becomes one. Whatever you bring on the market, everyone participates in it, buy, sell, and make a development out of it. That's my experience about it. And we are happy about it because we are able to show what we are doing and we are moving forward as a community.
That's really great. Thank you, Milimo. Arthur, your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, look, so my heart lies in agriculture and horticulture, like, I suppose, like in Cork City, at the moment, it's just concrete, and I just feel like we're the opposite to, is it Milimo? We're the opposite?
Milimo,
You're trying to connect with the internet, like where we are trying to disconnect from the internet,
Yeah.
people, yeah. Yeah, people have lost the connection with the ground and with the earth and with
Yeah.
nature, and I suppose, like, by green spaces, or even community gardens, like, this gives people the opportunity to reconnect again, like, with nature and with that, like. But I find, as well, that people, like, years and years ago, people were very connected with the soil and the time and everything, like. And when they come back into a garden, and suddenly brings back all these old memories, like, and then that sense of security and happiness and freedom, like, seems to come back into people, like, and the thing, like, human beings, like, we are very, very sociable people, and we like to be part of lovely environments and lovely networks and groups, and that. So that's a quiet environment, like in Cork City, like, we have at the moment 29 community gardens in Cork City. We have a kind of a sport group there called it's Cork Garden Network Group, like, which we meet once a month in all the gardens, and we support one another and give information, that, like. But, like, gardens, or, well, green spaces anyway, or even community gardens, like they're a very good learning space, like they're a safe social environment. People enjoy it. They come in, like, we've, like, in Mahon now, all the schools are heavily involved. They all come together to grow and and learn and grow together. And at the end of it, they're able to harvest and take home the crops. And it's quite educational. Like, so there's a lot in community gardens. Like, it's a lovely community connector. It's a lovely engagement within the community. It's very, very safe environment. People are learning, and people make good friendships in it. Like, so, like, there's a lot of pluses. And the other thing, I suppose, people are connected back to the earth again. They're disconnected from devices. They're disconnected. That they actually, people often say, like, it's lovely just to sit here and just soak up a quiet environment, like, and it's lovely to hear people say that, like, because, like, people's heads and people's lives are going so quick. People just want somewhere where they can allow themselves just to sit down and just reconnect and even just gather their thoughts, whatever, like. So there's a lot of benefits. And the other thing as well is, with groups, then people like to be followers, like, so people do need leaders. So within every group, if you have a kind of a good, strong leadership there, people just come in because they like that. Like, people, well, like, we do all like structure, and we like routine. Like, so they're the big things. Like, so you try to keep meeting up at the same time every week, because people then, get into the habit. They have structure in their lives, and then when they come in, they have people there to lead them and guide them. So, if you've all that, like, you have a very successful group. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And the connection with the land is so important. Maebh, I mean, the same question to you, but I know already, like, we have a massive connection to the land. We love it. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, just for?
I think for time's sake, really no, because I could go on about this for ages. But yeah, I suppose that, like, just to kind of repeat what the others said, and that I really, on a personal level, do feel that so much of our collective human trauma comes from being so displaced from the earth. And yeah, Arthur is talking about the memory of like childhood or an earlier time, but also I feel like this memory that maybe we don't understand, like, beyond us. So kind of going back to, I don't know, what we used to do and what we're made to do. And I think the thing about a community garden, as Arthur said, it's really safe, and people can come and engage in whatever capacity. Like, there'd be people who come to the garden now and they'd have a cup of tea and another, and that's it for them. And then there's others who want to work away. And I think community gardens, and I would say libraries, are actually some of the only third spaces we have left, in a sense, that you can just come and be, there's a few parks in Cork City which are brilliant, but I suppose community gardens are kind of recreating our relationship with parks and that sort of thing. So yeah, but there's lots there.
Oh, there's loads there, and I know that, and we're coming close to end of time, and like this is where you only start to get really stuck in, because I know for sure that we definitely all have a lot to say about that connection with the land. It's just so incredible, and it's so incredibly therapeutic, but like it is so incredibly safe, and it kind of allows. I love what you said there, Arthur, about like that. It allows them to switch off from things, you know, and that's actually something nearly that people are forgetting, that they're allowed to switch off and actually, you know, wind down and not always be switched on, but that you can actually do these things and connect with the land in that kind of a way. And I got, Brendan, do you have anything to say on it? Like with the farming background as well there, like it's kind of, I don't want to miss something that amazing that you might have to say too.
No, I was laughing to myself there, because I feel like this is a conversation that myself and yourself, Nicola, have often, even probably today, that like when we're working from home here on the laptops, and I'm sure like many of you are, like it's almost the feeling of humans aren't really supposed to be doing this. Like we're supposed to be outside at one with nature, but even having from work, doing a bit of work with the Mahon Community Garden myself, like it's brilliant to see. I mean, kids that, so speaking from my own experience, like maybe young lads that mightn't have had that same connection with nature that I was lucky enough to have, they kind of get that then in some sense, and if it kind of leads to maybe a bit more of an empathetic mindset towards climate and kind of the world around them, then better again. So yeah, no, I think this great work, especially in the community gardens around Cork, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, I mean, I read something, like it's actually quite sad today in the news that they're going to rezone certain parts up around the Fingal County area, you know, to make more room for more houses, but they're going into the green belt. And, you know, when you hear things like that, you kind of think of the sadness around that, because those green belts would have been like fought for, because they are so desperately important to cities. Like, and Arthur speaking there of that importance to Cork City, like that it is primarily concrete. We do really need to keep these green spaces. When you go out into the countryside, it's so different, you know, but where the access to having that around you, and that sense of calm around you that comes with being in a garden or being with the land, really. Yeah, so like we are, and I know that we could definitely talk about this for forever, but I think we're going to come towards the end. So do you want to take away the ending, Brendan? And I'd just like to say thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
No, yeah, definitely. So thanks everyone, or thanks very much everyone for joining us, especially to our three speakers, Maebh, Arthur, and Milimo. You saved us at the end there, Milimo. You were a last minute substitution. Fair play to you. Thanks very much. I suppose then, just before we do finish up, lads, if people did want to find out more information about what you do or where you work, and where would they be able to find it?
More info about me, I would be on the Cork City Partnership website, or you can contact me by email or phone number. The community garden does not have an Instagram or any social media. I'm not going down that road. So unfortunately, but we do have a newsletter. So if you'd like my email, I will add you to the newsletter list.
Brilliant. Thanks, Maebh.
Oh yeah, and it's very for me, like I'm part of the community section in Cork City Council. So if you go into the Cork City Council stroke community, you will find my details there. Like, yeah, but look, I suppose I'm very visual in the community anyway. You know, but I suppose people aren't going to be looking for me around Cork anyway. But
you never know.
You know, that's true. You never know. But yeah.
I'm going to hold you for another second, though. If you had one last thing to say to people to get involved, like what would you say? Like one kind of quick sentence, like what would you say to them?
I would say just come along just once. That's what I always say. Just come along and check it out. There's never any kind of commitment. I've yet to have anyone, though, not have a good time. But the community garden that I'm involved with is on Cornmarket Street in front of the Bridewell Garda station. It's incredibly invisible. People know it as soon as they're in it, but they'll have walked past it for years and have never really taken any note of it. So come along. We'll be there this Saturday or next Wednesday. So yeah.
Yeah, good advice. Yeah. Arthur, anything?
For me, I think it's go for it. That would be my thing. But like,
Yeah.
I suppose from community work, it's lovely that people are engaging in the communities, but like, it's the people that are excluding themselves from it. It's the people that we need to get at. And that's one of my goals. I have two goals, and that's one is trying to connect with the people that need to connect with more community groups, and the other thing is how can we deliver or how can we get the information out to people the way people can receive it, like because that's a question I'm asking a lot of groups. And I remember them recently talking to the Toker Women's group, like, and I just said to one woman, how did you hear about the group, like? And she turned around and she said, I went to Super Value, the shopping store, and she said, I've seen the poster 10 times. And she read it 10 times, she said. And she said she didn't take any notice whatsoever, but she read it, she told me 10 times. And one day another woman came in and pointed at it. Said, oh, yeah, I must go to that. And she said, the only reason that woman pointed and said, I'm going to that, she came. But she said, I read it over and over and over. But the fact she heard someone else is going, she decided to come, like, you know. But like, I suppose, like how do you connect with people nowadays is a new like, I suppose some people are on social media and others aren't. Some people love to see posters, others don't. And you'll find as well, especially in Mahon and other communities, like notice boards, like there is very little notice boards now, or people won't allow you to put up posters, but people like to see it visually, like to see things like, but how can you get information? That's something I'm constantly working on. How can we get information out to the community that people can, know what's going on? At like, there's another little Maebh knows, there's another little thing we're trying to do in Mahon now is set up a podcast for the area as well in Mahon, like, and we were saying, is this another tool for us to communicate with people or get information out there as well? Like, so, I love in time if people want to sit down and have a conversation about how can we connect with people, how can we get information out there, and I just think that's crucial as well. It's probably the bigger part of community working is how can get information out to these people. No, I mean now to the people that you need to reach, not the activists that are always turning up every day. It's the people that are isolated in their homes that need to get out and get visually engaged. Like, how can we get information to these people?
Yeah, it's good. And when you're starting the podcast stuff, Arthur, get involved with or get in touch with us, because we'd definitely like to be there with you with that. I mean, it's such a crucial thing, isn't it? Reaching people, that's the whole thing. Like, that's the whole point. Like, it's the whole thing. Milimo, have you any last final words? Look, we cut you on the hop. You're on mute.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I always tell myself is go for it and try it and make a difference. That's my goal in everything that I do. A lot of people are scared of going into engaging with the community work, wanting to make a difference. But for me, the goal is go for it, be the first one and make a difference. And then everyone will follow to make a better place for everyone to live in. Because like I would say, green environment, it's everyone's responsibility. And if there's no one to lead, no one is going to take it and will not live by it. But if there's someone to start, and everyone will start, and everyone will go for it, and then we'll make a better place for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Milimo. So I suppose to finish up or wrap up then, so if anyone would like to have any more information on SERVE, then our website is serve.ie, and from there then you can join our monthly newsletter, so you can get more details about upcoming events around Cork and our next Fireside Chat now on the 22nd of February. But then, yeah, so I suppose on behalf of myself and from everyone at SERVE, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us. We think it was a great conversation had tonight. So yeah, hope everyone has a lovely evening, and bye again.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
lads.
so much, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Bye. Bye. Bye.